Namaste ji, namaste. So in the Polity Station series up till now, we have discussed where we are coming from. So the Government of India Acts, the Charter Acts, that shaped who we are as the people and the shape of our laws basically. So unless and until you understand those, you really cannot, decipher why we are the way that we are, right? And in the preamble, we the people decided who exactly are we going to be based on and again influenced by those Charter Acts and Government of India Acts, which we have already discussed in about 10 lectures, right? So broadly, we have discussed who we are going to be, what our values are going to be. So when I say values, it's justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, and who exactly, so we the people have solemnly decided and resolved, and I'm not going to go into the exact text, but pretty much sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, right? And we have basically adopted our constitution. So all of that is done basically in the series. And since this series focuses on why exactly the way things are, we have to obviously get into the nitty-gritty details of things and think about them. All right. So now we are going to think about part one, that is union as territory. In Lakshmikant, I believe that is around chapter 5 or chapter 6, whatever it is, and articles 1 to 4. All right. That's pretty much it. So in this, we now are going to be starting to decide where are we going to live. Up till now हमने कस्में वादे तो खा लिए, right? That we the people are going to be this. But now where do you live? कुछ नाम तो होना चाहिए ना उस एरिया का. So we start off with India, that is Bharat. Now think about why is it India that is Bharat? This is pretty much how we start off the constitution. Starting off the word India and then going to that is Bharat, right? So India that is Bharat shall be a federation of states. No, shall be a union of states. Let me just write it in short form, right? So it shall be a union of states. Now what does that mean? Union of states. Is it basically like a marriage? Are the states agreeing? What exactly is happening here? So first and foremost, think about the name. So we have named ourselves now. Basically, we are going to be India, and you can call us Bharat as well. So India, that is Bharat. So there must have been some debate in the Constituent Assembly regarding कि जी अब हमारा नाम क्या रखें? So there must be like some conflict of interest, and they have included both of them. We need not enter into the Constituent Assembly debates right now because that level is not needed for this series at least. So we are a union, but we are federal in structure. What does federal in structure mean? So Modi ji is going to sit at the very center, and then you'll have CMs. So basically, it's going to be a branching out situation, right? And we have already discussed this in the very first lecture of the series of what exactly all of this is. And this basically, see, we are a very, very huge country. So it affords us administrative convenience कि भाई थोड़े टॉपिक आप देखें to make laws on, थोड़े से हम देखें, लोगों से जो हम पैसे लेंगे, the taxes etc that we collect, we're going to divide amongst ourselves so that आपका भी घर चलते रहे, as in speaking from the perspective of the center to the state, and कि मेरा भी घर चलते रहे, I'm speaking from the center's point of view with respect to the state, right? So then basically we have divided our powers or distributed our powers accordingly. So that is basically the federal structure. So there is one center and then there are multiple, you can say, sub-units which act like their own, administratively you can say, mini sort of polity units, you can say, mini sort of countries, you can say. Obviously you don't need a visa to go in there because, well, thanks to Article 91D, etc. But do you understand the federalism that is there? But then we are a union as well. एक बार आपने ये line join कर लिया. I think there was a dialogue in the movie Company of that Vivek Oberoi, no? कि ये line आप join कर सकते हैं, छोड़ नहीं सकते, right? So you can't leave this union. Once you have joined the union, the states have no right to secede from it. Right? We're going to get to that as well. This is not an agreement. So in the US Federation, remember it's again in the अगर आप USA को थोड़ा सा full form उसका expand कर दें, it's United States of America, right? So they're collectively calling themselves as America, but then the states have agreed that we're going to come together and form a union. Herein हमें स्टेट से कोई agreement नहीं चाहिए. Indian Independence Act 1947 में two dominions were created, and the princely states were given an option whether you can join India, whether you can join Pakistan, or whether you can remain independent. Rest of it all, two separate dominions were created. Now, once you are in here, buddy, you cannot leave. That's about it. So that's pretty much the very distinct factor from the US Federation that we have. So we are an indestructible union of destructible states. And how exactly can states be destructible? We'll get to that when we get to Article 1 to 4. Alright. Now, why did we, I think we already discussed this, for convenience of administration. Why have we chosen the federal structure? Because otherwise we are too huge. And another factor, think about it. Despite being too huge, think about it. Why would there be, convenience of administration? Why? आपने देखा होगा, like a Punjabi tends to listen better to a Punjabi. A Malayali or a Telugu speaking person will tend to, you're going to automatically connect a bit better with your own, right? As soon as you go to the USA, for example, if you meet a fellow Indian, oh, you're from India, there's a connect. So in India, we have a lot of mini Indias, right? We have a lot of languages, we have a lot of different cultures, we have a lot of different ways of appropriating God, we have a lot of ways of worship. So hota kya hai that if we put in one central figure, well, other people just may say कि नहीं हम तो नहीं follow करेंगे इसको, ये कौन है ये आदमी, right? And then that one central figure with all of his authority at one place cannot possibly ever hope to manage and administer this country with such a huge population very effectively. In fact, it will end up in a very colossal nightmare, right? So for the conveniences of the administration, well, we have decided that states ke andar, there are going to be CMs and there are going to be some union territories based on that. And then we get into the linguistic part of it, which comes later. All right. So hopefully the funda is clear of why exactly Article 1 is the way it is, right? So, because our country needs a very specific custom tailor-made solution to it. Now, Article 1 ke andar 3 type ki territories aap yaad rakhenge, which specifically states, and homework for you, always you're going to always refer to the Bare Act. So you're going to go to Google and say Constitution Bare Act PDF. It will give you a PDF. You're going to read Article 1 on your own. Therein, 3 kind of territories are mentioned. So you have territories of states. You have union territories. That means they are being administered by the central government. So union territories and territories that are acquired are administered by the central government. And then the third kind of territory is the territories that may be acquired from Government of India, basically by the Government of India from time to time, right? So you can acquire territories as per international law. ऐसा नहीं है कि once it is fixed who India is, well, India remains like that. No, as we will see in Berubari Union, as we will see in the 9th Amendment and the 100th Amendment, you're going to figure out all of this, and that basically is connected with territories that may be acquired. Now, wherein are all of these territories, etc. given? The first schedule. So first schedule is going to list out how many states, how many union territories. Homework for you. You're going to go to Google, you're going to type out number of UT and states, और उसके आगे आप लिख देंगे noindia.gov.in. That is the official source, because Dadra and Daman were recently merged into one. J&K was split into 2 union territories, and then Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. So a lot of happenings have taken place. So you need to know at present, how many states and how many union territories are there in 2020 at the time of shooting this video. And then obviously later on, if some further developments take place, you update your stat, and that update of stat is the most correct on the government's official website. So कृपया करके छोटा सा homework, read Article 1 and know about how many states and union territories do we have basically in India at this moment, or perhaps leave a comment ताकि दूसरों का भी भला हो जाए, right? First schedule के अंदर क्या दे रखा है? All the list of states and union territories that we have, their territorial extents. Have a cursory look at first schedule. Again, go to Google, type in first schedule PDF. See, I'll tell you what, I can put it here, display on the screen and basically spoon feed everything to you, but then in the exam you won't be able to recall much. But if you do these tiny little micro tasks on your own, aside the explanations that are being given, you will do much better than your competition. And remember, after all, These are competitive exams, right? So we have to be better than the other. So first schedule ho gaya. Then you want to have a look at part 21 as well. These are special provisions with respect to certain states, right? Another homework, take your notebook, part 21 में जाके देखिए to which states do these provisions apply. किनको हमने थोड़ा सा इतना सा VIP status दे रखा है. Which states are those, right? And is Article 370 a part of part 21? Have a look at that. We are in part 1, right? Part 1, Union and its territories. Okay. So all of this is done, and then 5th and the 6th schedules. So what are these schedules basically? When I say, first schedule, second schedule, third schedule, what are these schedules? Like second schedule में आपके ऐसे बताए जाते हैं, and then third schedule is all about your oaths, and then fourth schedule again is Rajya Sabha seats. What are these schedules? Now you see, if we go into those tiny little micro details and put them inside of the constitution right alongside the article, the constitution will become a mess in its structure. So what we have taken them as basically these lists, we have put them as some sort of appendices, and उसको हमने last में रखा हुआ है. So पहले हम articles देख लें, and then we are going to refer to those lists in the articles itself, in which we'll basically refer to these schedules. So first schedule दे रखा, like second schedule में all your salaries are given, third schedule में all your oaths are given, fourth schedule में Rajya Sabha seats are given, fifth and sixth schedules are about scheduled areas and scheduled tribal areas within the states. Right? So we have pretty much 4 schedules that are relating to union and its territory. First, that lists out states and union territories. Fourth, the Rajya Sabha seat allocation. Because remember, Rajya Sabha is also called the Council of States. It's also called the revising chamber. But when we get to Rajya Sabha, we're going to look at that, the revising chamber bit, and why is it called that. So if it's the Council of States, obviously we need a list of seats, right? So if we need a list of seats, that is given where? In the 4th schedule, right? So we have to allocate seats as per the states and union territories. Now anytime the number of states and union territories changes, the Rajya Sabha seats as well change. So think about it. If let us say that I change the number of states and union territories, and accordingly Rajya Sabha mein seat bhi badlegi. So which schedule will you need to amend? Automatically the 4th schedule. But remember, the 1st schedule also states the union territories and states की list. नाम दिए हुए ना उसके अंदर. That is why I am asking you to have a cursory look on these schedules. नाम दिए हुए हैं. तो अगर नाम बदलेंगे, on one hand you are adding or deleting a state, you will have to amend the 1st schedule as well. Amend basically alter and change. So 1st schedule and 4th schedule are always interconnected with a change here on this side, that is basically a state and a union territory, is always going to affect first and foremost the 1st schedule and the 4th schedule. Understand? I hope it makes sense, because once it has made sense, you need not even explicitly remember this, and you're going to get it correct in your examination, because now you know why we are, well, the way we are, right? And that is basically the main aim of understanding polity, कि ये सब तो सही है कि ये आपने सब बता दिया, but ये ऐसा है क्यों? Once you start to understand all of that, whether it's a LLM thesis that you're writing, whether it's the UPSC law optional that you're writing, whether it's anywhere you're writing in detail and not explicitly answering the MCQ, you're going to get it correct, because the examiner will know, well, this guy knows, right? And that is the aim in a competitive exam. Now, when we take a look at these two phrases, that's territory of India versus Union of India. So territory of India is a wider phrase. Why? Because it includes territories that may be acquired. Because remember, these territories are not exactly a part of, the union as such. So this is a wider phase. So territory of India also, basically it includes union territories and territories that may be acquired, right? And we have distribution of powers for convenience of administration with the states. So we have distributed our powers. Okay. Now, when we say territories that may be acquired, how exactly are you going to acquire newer territories, right? You can acquire them by cession. What does that mean? So you can either purchase them, you can get them under a treaty, you can have a cooperative agreement with another international government, कि जी ये इलाका हमारा वो वाला आपका, right? You can go in for an occupation where there is no recognized ruler. You can go ahead and you can occupy the land, and not necessarily, but you can, right? And then by conquest and subjugation, basically by force. You win a war, you take some of their land, take some of the other country's land, and well, now you basically it comes under your control. So who will it be administered by in such a scenario? The central government, because वहाँ पे state government तो बैठेगी नहीं, correct? So it's all, therefore it is all in the hand of the state at the union level. Okay. So are there any territories that we have acquired after independence? Yeah. So Goa, Daman, Dadra, Puducherry are some examples, right? And Puducherry was handed over to us by the French, and the rest, basically, the predominant rule was by the Portuguese in certain areas. We'll discuss all of that. So now Article 2 says Parliament may by law admit into the union or establish new states. So under Article 2, we have empowered the Parliament fully to take action related to states. Why? And who is the Parliament? Parliament is the President, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, all three combined. So primarily in Lok Sabha, well, we the people have sent our representatives, and we the people then have basically agreed कि अब ये लोग जो करेंगे, if they are like democratically elected, etc., we'll have to agree on that, right? So Parliament has supreme control over here. तो इसके ऊपर ये MCQ आता ही आता है in any exam. So who can establish new states? Usually उसके अंदर president का भी option दिया होगा. But what do you have to mark? Parliament, right? Parliament may by law admit into the union. So union के अंदर जी आप आ रहे हैं नए state लेकर, so you can admit them into the union, or you can completely establish newer states. तो आंध्र प्रदेश, तेलंगाना, पहले मद्रास में से या बॉम्बे में से महाराष्ट्र and Gujarat, you establish like 2 new states out of 1 existing category, right? And the supreme power with respect to all of this relates to the Parliament, right? So you can get in newer folks to admit into the Union of India, or you can completely establish a new state. Article 3 talks primarily about the interstate adjustment, right? And Article 3 is where basically the gomok of MCQs in a prelims ka exam or in any entrance exam lies as far as Article 1 to 4 is concerned. So, the homework, read Article 3. Very short article. I believe that you can read it very, very easily. So Article 3 empowers the Parliament to create a new state. So either you can, you can separate out territory, or you can unite new territory from within India. You can increase the area, you can diminish the area, you can alter the boundaries, you can change the name using Article 3. Okay. And the prior condition is, so this is now, you cannot, this is now wala sentence I'll complete later now. You cannot do this without the prior recommendation of the President. So a bill cannot be introduced for this purpose under Article 3 without the prior recommendation of the President. But why? Why do you think this clause has to be there? Because otherwise Parliament to गुंडागर्दी पे चला जाएगा. Parliament साहब के पास the power is immense. They will basically start doing a lot of politics on this. So we have the President to control, to keep a check and balance on, well, our netas in Lok Sabha primarily, and then indirectly elected in Rajya Sabha. Okay. And then President also, before moving this bill, before recommending it to the House, has to take views of the state legislature. I mean, if the state legislature doesn't respond in time, does not matter. The state legislature may want to give some views because उनसे पूछ रहे हैं कि अच्छा बता दो हम ऐसा करने वाले हैं. You want to cut out some territory from your state. थोड़ा आप देख लो बता दो. Let us say वो नहीं बताते. President साहब says it's okay. He's empowered to still proceed ahead. Let us say the state legislature expresses a certain view. President साहब can say नहीं मेरे को नहीं मानना. Okay, allowed. So something very similar to what Rajya Sabha's role is primarily in the case of money bills. Okay. So not exactly the state legislatures के पास ज़्यादा कोई control है नहीं. उनसे पूछ रहे हैं, just obligatory हाँ जी कैसा लग रहा है आपको types. Otherwise, ज़्यादा कोई पावर है नहीं. एंड अच्छा, दिस इज बेसिकली टू फॉर एन इंटरस्टेट अरेंजमेंट कि हम ये सब काम करने वाले हैं, सो देयरफॉर यू नो दिस इज द वे इट इज. एंड बट फॉर अ यूनियन टेरिटरी, पार्लियामेंट करिए, मैं अपने आप देख लूँ. This is what the article is saying in the provisos. So the proviso says, what is a proviso in law? Proviso in law is basically provided that. So it says provided that clauses A to E include the word state includes union territory, but then for any other purpose it does not include that. So read the provisos. Okay. Now it says basically, so net conclusion जो मैंने आपको पहले एक जो phrase जो दिया था, that is an indestructible union of destructible states, because using Article 3, and if I'm the parliament, I can pretty much redraw the entire map within the geographical boundaries of India. Can I do that? Yes. If I'm the parliament, yeah, sure enough. But then President Saab ki recommendation chahiye to do such a thing, right? So it's a very big thing, but you can do it, theoretically speaking. So union say you do not have the right to, where have I written this? State has no right to secede. You cannot leave, buddy, once you've joined in. But we can basically alter your existence out of the window. So there is no constitutional guarantee to the continuance of the existence of the state, which is a constitutional guarantee in the USA, right? So just because you exist as a state right now doesn't mean in 10 years time basically we can change you, the parliament can change you, right? So a lot of states have gone a lot of changes. So for example, the first name change was United Provinces, renamed to Uttar Pradesh, right? So we can cut out states. So you pretty much, there is no guarantee in India that as a state you're going to remain, you know, as you were and you're going to continue till eternity. That is not constitutionally guaranteed. So basically there is no guarantee to this fact. Okay, but in the USA it is, all right. And another fun fact is when you read Article 4, so Article 4 is going to tell you about two things. First and fourth schedule वाला जो common sense वाली जो चीज़ मैंने आपको बता दी already, hopefully you've understood it, that why are we amending first and fourth schedule as soon as, you know, we are using our powers under Article 2 and Article 3. जैसे ही हमने power use करी, we'll have to amend schedules, first schedule and the fourth schedule. Okay. This is not a constitutional amendment. That is the second point that Article 4 is going to tell you. So all of this can be done by a simple majority. So we need not, you know, use the extensive procedure that is available under 368. We need not use that. Simple, आराम से काम करो, just like a standard, you know, standard normal bill. आराम से simple majority. कोई 2/3 नहीं चाहिए, कोई Article 368 का कोई procedure नहीं चाहिए, because constitutional amendments are usually, you know, they are tough to pass because you are amending the constitution. So they have made life easy for them. कि अगर ये काम हमें करना पड़े, so we need not wait for a constitutional amendment, all right? But now when we are speaking about constitutional amendment, a very interesting question arose in the 1960s, basically the beginning of 1960. That is that now can you cede Indian territory? That is, can you give Indian territory the power that has been given under Article 3 to the parliament? Can it cede Indian territory, that is, give to another government using Article 3? So by not using Article 368, can you just, you know, just give it away? Is Article 3 really all that powerful? This was the question. So President Saab was also unclear. Now again, see, President Saab से पूछा ही होगा, because Article 3 says this, right? So President Saab की ये Parliament ये कर सकता है. So he called up the Supreme Court under the advisory jurisdiction. So ordinance making power, which is the legislative power of the President, is under 123. I'll add 20 points more to that, that is 143, right? So we can basically call up the Supreme Court कि भैया बता दीजिए, कि थोड़ा सा advice दीजिए. So that is also known as the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, which we're going to discuss when we get to the Supreme Court in this series. But this is pretty much the level of constitution that you need on your fingertips. The articles you need, the fundas you need, the core concepts you need on your fingertips, all right? And if I can do it, pretty much you can as well, right? I'm not really a very special human being. If I can pretty much, you know, remember it like this, you also can do this, provided that you put in time and effort. So 123, 143 याद रखेंगे. So the Supreme Court said, well, no, sorry. If you have to do such a thing under Article 3, you will need a constitutional amendment to basically cede Indian territory. So that is why the case law's name is in re Berubari Union. Now, what is this re or re? Some people pronounce it as re, some people pronounce it as re. Re is reference. Reference made under 143. And in Article 145, it's written as soon as a reference is made, the minimum number of judges required is 5. Okay. Another, you can say another information or nugget for you. So the Supreme Court has said that, hey buddy, hey Parliament, you're going to need 368. So it will be a constitutional amendment. So you can cede Indian territory to another government, but you'll need a constitutional amendment. So the government said, well, yellow, 9th constitutional amendment, and then we basically exchanged enclaves with, well, that time the government of Pakistan, and in the 100th amendment, we did something very similar. The 9th amendment, 100th amendment in Ray Berubari Union, aapne yaad rakhna hai. Okay. And in Ray Berubari Union also, just fun fact additional to this video, which is completely separate story, and we have discussed this in the preamble video as well. That preamble is not a part of the constitution. This was decided in Ray Berubari Union. Preamble is a part of the constitution. This was decided in Keshwanand Bharti. Okay. So up till now, hopefully it is clear that we are going to be using constitutional amendments to cede Indian territories. We have discussed Article 1, we discussed 2, 3, 4. Basically, we're pretty much through the core concept. Rest of the stuff, just have a cursory look from Lakshmikant. It's going to make much more sense to you. After, obviously, paying attention here. Now, at the time of the independence, we basically had two kind of, you can say, political units or polity units. So we had the British provinces and we had the princely states, right? We've discussed these pehle. Now, out of the 552 princely states that we had, 549 said yes, we're going to join, but 3 refused because they were given an option that either you can remain independent, or either you can join India, or either you can join Pakistan. So basically, the core crux of the Kashmir issue, right? If you know the history of 370, we will discuss all of that when we reach 370. So Hyderabad, Junagadh, Kashmir said, sorry, we don't want to join the Union of India, right? Sorry, humko nahi chahiye. So Hyderabad we acquired by police action. Junagadh we acquired by referendum. I think it's PA यहाँ पे लिख दिया मैंने, it's referendum. And referendum we have already discussed when we discussed the structure of polity that we have in India. Kashmir, instrument of accession se. Yeah, there was a limiting article that was given to them as an exchange for joining India was 370, and later on in 54 they got 335A also basically out from us to protect their interests further, right? So instrument of accession is basically Kashmir. Now at the time of independence we subdivided our states into 4 categories, that was A, B, C, D. So these were the governor provinces of British India in part A. Then the princely states with legislatures were in part B. Zyadatar, matlab just broad overview hai. If you want to, you can, but what you can't skip is that knowing this information that we had subdivided states into 4 categories, right? Part 3 was centrally administered basically under part C, and part D was Andaman and Nicobar Island. हमने एक basically यहाँ पे कोने में छोड़ दिया. Again, why did we do such a thing? Convenience of administration. This line you will need to remember because that is the core crux. So we divided, कि जी आप ये काम करेंगे, आप वो काम करेंगे, and then we're going to govern you like this. The center must have said. Now, primarily, what started as it always starts, because remember, India is basically a hotpot of a lot of cultures, a lot of languages, and everyone thinks, well, they're superior to each other. And everyone wants कि जी मेरा तो system ये कहता है, मैं तो इसको follow करूँगा, आप अपनी policy अपने घर लेके जाइए. So a lot of stuff which unofficially goes on is actually a very, very localized form of government that works as per its own whims and fancies. So even though we have like a lot of laws trying to govern everything in one place, in real life the reality is a bit different. Why? Because we have a lot of cultures and they just want to, each one of them just wants their own customs and own patterns developed over centuries to prevail. and we have primarily speaking a lot of language, and language is one thing that binds people together. All right, language is one thing that you connect instantly. As soon as I've given you the example, as soon as you go abroad, the first thing is if somebody just speaks your language, you connect to them on a much grander scale than you would have otherwise. Now, primarily from the south of India, linguistic basis पे states reorganization की demand आने लगी. That like, please organize these states based on languages. We want our own state because this group of people speaks one language so well. You give us one state and you keep the rest into another state. कि भाई तुम वहाँ रहो, हम यहाँ रहेंगे, दोनों अपने अपने घर में खुश. Right? But then this would have resulted in a huge nightmare, right? And in fact, independence से निकलते निकलते 60s 70s तक we were just altering and amending the constitution because a lot of factors that were unseen at the time of 47, it took us roughly speaking 30 to 40 odd years just to settle into the newer structure. So linguistic basis पे demand आ गई, so linguistic provinces commission बना दी हमने, linguistic provinces commission, that is by S.K. Dhar, the first important committee that you must remember, right? This committee said, well, administrative convenience overrules the need to reorganize states on the basis of language. So administrative convenience के हिसाब से ये वाला structure सही है. Let's carry on with it. That will increase a lot of fights. That in fact started a lot more agitations. So then we immediately formed the JVP committee. Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, and Pattabhi Sitaramaiah, right? The third member. So they also rejected that we need to reorganize states on linguistic basis because it's a huge task, right? But then the pressure was so immense from down south that we had to create the first state based on linguistics, which was the Andhra state. And how did we form this? So we formed it by separating out the Telugu speaking people out of basically, or rather the areas out of the state of Madras. Then we formed this state that is known as the Andhra state. All right. Now since अब आपने एक तो कर दिया तो बाकी भी तो आएंगे ना शोर मचाने, तो बाकी लोग आ गए. बाकी लोगों ने आके क्या कहा कि जी हमें भी दो, we reorganize our state as well. So then we formed the Fazl Ali Commission. Oh, it says Faz. I've written Faz. It's actually Fazl. Fazl Ali Commission, December 53. कि जी थोड़ा सा reorganize कर ही दो, because now you see you allow one and well then the others are going to obviously demand कि जी इन लोगों को आपने ऐसा special treatment क्यों दिया, हमें भी चाहिए, because after all we are all equal, right? Article 14, equality before the law. So Fazl Ali Commission said, yeah, go ahead, make language as the basis on which you want to reorganize the states. So then we landed up with 14 states and 6 union territories, right? So if you open the chart on Lakshmikant, just read on from here, just have a cursory look, because these details is basically just me reading out stuff which I don't want to waste your time with. So you read it on your own, right? So for example, now the state of Bombay was split into two. So the Marathi people went to Maharashtra, the Gujarati speaking people were given the territory कि जी आप state बना लीजिए known as Gujarat, right? So this all happened after the Fazl Ali Commission. Then Dadra and Nagar Haveli, basically we added to our own territory by the 10th constitutional amendment. Daman and Diu, Goa, basically we acquired via police action. We got by the 12th constitutional amendment. क्योंकि अब आपको नया काम करना है तो फिर constitutional amendment तो अब आपको करनी पड़ेगी because the Supreme Court has said so. Puducherry we got from the French. I think the French gave it to us in 54, and then sometime later we did the 14th constitutional amendment to integrate it into the Union of India. So these are all basically we are acquiring territories. The center is acquiring territories basically. And then the first state to be renamed was Uttar Pradesh, basically from United Provinces it went to Uttar Pradesh. And stuff such as this is given in in tiny details in Lakshmikant, which I suggest that you read on your own, because this is just this is just like those boring PowerPoint presentations in which the reader is just reading out from the screen and it becomes very boring, right? So just have a cursory look And I believe this chapter's core funda, which will now make much more sense to you. Because my main aim with this series is basically to tell you why we are the way we are with respect to polity. As in, these provisions are very easy to spoon feed to you, but why exactly have we designed them, right? So once your mind's engine basically is warmed up and running, you pretty much will figure it out on your own. All right. Now we'll move on to the next one. Hopefully you've liked it. You can leave your feedback in the comment section. All right. Do take very good care of yourself. Wishing you all the very best. Take care.